Hello everyone, thank you and welcome to the Continental Mining Innovation Theatre today. So thank you for doing the Welcome to Country. I can move on. So the leveraging of predictive analytics and improved operation efficiencies for maintenance, asset management and optimization is a large topic and larger than 20 minutes that we have today. So what I want to do is concentrating at Continental on total conveyance around the conveying ecosystem. But the principles that I'll be raising here and the way we need to leverage the analytics can be translated, those principles, across the whole mine value chain. You have sensors. Sensors collect data. You have analysis. You need insights to make those data-driven decisions. So, with the power of technology. Okay, so what I thought I'd do today is start with some statistics of unplanned shutdowns on a conveyor. Unplanned shutdown per hour can cost on average 410k. Of that 410k, about 10% of those are associated with idler failure. So for those who are not familiar with a conveyor, you have the rollers that go in an idler set, which the conveyor belt comes over. So if that is broken by any way, it can get hot, it can catch fire, it can puncture the belt. So this can cause a lot of problems and obviously an unplanned shutdown. And of those unplanned shutdowns, annual revenue is affected by 3%. So if we can turn that small cog, you're going to leverage that efficiency. So what are the current states of play that we have in asset for predictive analytics today? Well, you've got siloed data, you've got disparate data, you've got ad hoc data, you've got people walking the belt. They are doing manual data entry. You might have an experienced conditional monitoring person of 20 years. That's not going to fail, that will fail. You may have, on his alternate roster, someone who's only been doing it for 2 years. Your data is not baselined. So the other part, what we have there, is that there's a lot of data and it's not visual, and you've got silos between asset management, conditional monitoring, reliability engineers, maintenance, procurement. No one is singing from the same song sheet for the data that they are collecting and the data they need to act on. So it's a reactive state that we're currently working in, and we're all trying to do analytics on it. So I have a bit of an anecdote for how bad this is. Last year, on site in Western Australia, we had a client fly up, post a planned shutdown to check idlers had been replaced by maintenance. That's accommodation, that's flights, that's time, that's carbon footprint. That's ridiculous, right? So I want us to do a hypothetical situation here. If we go 5 years into the future, you can get in your time machines, we're going to go next to a conveyor. What if you can't get out of your car? You're in a no-go zone, you're in a no-entry zone, the conveyor is working, legislation's come in because we've got too many severe accidents from conveyor injuries, so you're just not allowed to go anywhere near an operating conveyor. You get a call from the ops manager, are we ready for the planned shutdown tomorrow? There's procurement, maintenance, asset management. Are they all singing from the same song sheet? No, they're not. Oh, we've gone. So, funnily enough, in August of this year, the New York Times and Forbes brought out strikingly similar articles. Companies are pouring billions into AI, and here's why they're not seeing returns. New York Times, companies are pouring billions into AI. It has yet to pay off. Why? Well, AI and predictive analytics is not a plug-and-play product. You can't just plug it in, run some analytics across the data that you're currently using, bearing in mind the ad hoc, disparate state it is currently in, and run perfect analytical models. AI magnifies patterns, and if you've got bad data that's not baselined, partially integrated or manual, you've got a problem. And so when you turn around and you have to lay your reputation on, are you ready? When you get that call, you're not ready. So the narrative, we'll get there in the end. So the narrative needs to change from a reactive to a proactive state. There is a strategy needed for the way forward for predictive analytics. The first port of call in that strategy is data. Data is king. It's got to be baselined. It's got to be smart. It's got to be integrated, and you haven't got to have those silos. They've got to be broken down between interdepartments so that you're all using the same data to act on. But the strategy also needs to include change management and employees. And the reason why I say that is that you can't have operations, they're pushing the square wheel to get the dirt from where it is out to its customers. And you've got head office going, squirrel technology here, squirrel technology there. They haven't got time. They need time. So you need to have a task force, you need to have a change management, but you also need to bring them on board so that they can leverage and check the data for you. Because, as I said, AI is very good at predicting those patterns, but you've got so much experience, so wealth of knowledge in your employees, and so therefore you need to get that data cross-referenced and checked in order to have reliability and leverage those predictive analytic models. So AI doesn't work in a vacuum, and it shouldn't operationally either. So where does Continental play in this space? So, as I mentioned, we're looking at it from a total conveyance scenario. We have rubber belts, we have idlers, we have pulleys, we have services, we have application engineering. And digital solutions and leveraging AI is the glue of that total conveyance. It is sensor-rich and is primed for integration. It's operational critical, and we can remove the ad hoc part of asset management. And we can move from a reactive to a proactive state. So on the left, bottom left, we've got our multi-protect system. And that, so for those for a conveyor belt with a splice, or where they've knitted together in a steel cord, it can monitor rip detection, and it can monitor splice deterioration, because you can't see inside a rubber belt, right? On the top right, we have Conveyor Inspect, and Conveyor Inspect uses drones, robotics, and it flies consistently instead of a driver hanging his head out the window with his earplugs in, listening, ad hoc, manual, and it is repeatable and shows trend analyses, and it takes the thermal image. The difference with ad hoc and acoustic from a human walking the belt for idler deterioration is that acoustic is first, the sound, the rattle is first, but the thermal is much later. And so therefore you could be replacing your idlers way before they need to be replaced. So utilizing this technology of baselined consistent data, we haven't got people walking the belt, and we use closed AI that we have trained in order to start really predicting properly the analytics of each and every conveyor belt, because it's different depending on the scenario, the commodity, etc. And also with the conveyor belt itself, it can reduce those statistics. So right at the beginning, when I mentioned that we had 3% loss of revenue per annum, we could just use conveyor inspect. That one's solved, tick. So if we look and we go back to the future one more time, if we are moving from a reactive to a more proactive state, we are baselining that trusted data and leveraging that AI. When you get that ops call, are we ready? Well, yes, we are. Procurement would know when to order the idlers. The maintenance, asset management, conditional monitoring would all know what they needed to do in that planned shutdown. And so therefore, you'd have none of those site visits flying up just to check if maintenance has replaced their idlers. So that's a win-win. What I wanted to say is that mines that will thrive in the next decade are those that's going to be able to anticipate and not just react, to be proactive. But you've got to have the good data to go with it. And you're not just going to go from an ad hoc to a predictive state straight away. You're going to have to go through a preventative state. And the more data that you gain, the better your models are going to become. The cost of not doing AI and not leveraging AI is too great. You have operational silos on your mine sites right now. You have reactive situation of unplanned shutdowns. You have early replacement of assets that don't need to be replaced, which has a sustainability and a cost associated to it. Asset management, risk, miscommunications and inefficiencies are huge. And so it was something that was mentioned in the Forbes article, and I encourage you to read that, that if you put bad fuel in a high-performance car, it's not going to go very well, right? And it's the same with data. You need good quality baseline data to start leveraging these predictive analytical models, because if you don't, you're going to get misinterpreted patterns that AI are going to give you. So the call to action, you're going to strategy and governance in data, change management, and bring your employees along for the ride. They've got experience. Let them check the data. Bring them along. But also run these strategies alongside what they're currently doing, so it's easy to change that square wheel to a round wheel and let them keep going. So if you can employ those strategies and clean that data, and there'll be less manual and ad hoc, then you're in a good situation there to leverage AI efficiently. So that's it from me. Thank you for listening. And as you probably knew, I was extremely nervous, but thank you all the same. And yeah, is there any questions? Okay, thank you very much.